Hey guys, it's Ace. So today I'm bringing you guys the next top 10 motherboards. Uh, the video prior to this one was how to choose a motherboard right for your setup, and the one prior to that was how to choose what are the top 10 CPUs. Sorry. And a quick thing over the top 10 CPUs was what I chose, which was the Intel i7 4790K. I might be looking at the Skylake now, the 4790K, to see which one comes out cheaper, because I have a budget that I have to stay within, and I have to find which one's cheaper, because the Skylake, of course, is better than the 4790K, but something that you guys have to learn, or everyone has to learn, is stay in your budget, stay with what you can buy. And then the video prior to this one, as I stated, was how to choose the correct motherboard for your setup. And a quick synopsis of that was make sure it works with your CPU. The CPU should have a socket size, like the 4790K has the LGA-1150, and the next generation after the 4790Ks, which includes the Skylake, is the LGA-1151. And then AMD's, they should also have a socket size. They go by FM2s. The A10 goes by FM2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, so you guys just on Google check out socket size of AMD A10 CPUs. That's another way to find the socket size of your CPU. It's really easy. It's nothing too complex. It's just a couple of numbers that you gotta make sure your motherboard can handle. So to start off with this video, I chose some motherboards for the Intel i7 LGA-1150, some motherboards for the Intel i7 LGA-1151, which are the two CPU Skylake. The 4790K Devil Canyon Quad and the Skylake, respectively, and then the A10. So let's go down the 4790K motherboards. The first one is Asus ATX. It handles DDR3. It's a Z97A motherboard, which is the type of motherboard that was created to support the LGA-1150 socket size. But something cool about this motherboard is that they decided to put in the USB 3.1. A lot of motherboard production companies have thrown out a new line of Z97s for the series that holds the 4790K, so that they can use USB 3.1, because USB 3.1 came out for the new CPUs, yeah, which are the Skylake. So the Skylake motherboards are almost always gonna have 3.1 and Type-C connections. I will leave a link down below so that you guys can go check that out, what I'm talking about when I say USB 3.1 and Type-C. So the next motherboard is the Asus TUF Sabertooth, another Z97 Mark II. This one again has a USB 3.1, and it has DDR3, and it's a SATA 6 GB per second. SATA is what you use to connect your hard drive to your motherboard, and the 6 GB per second is one of the faster ones, and it was created to support the SSDs, because even though the SSD is fast by itself, the connection that was used for regular hard drives would bottleneck it, which is when it's forced to slow down because of its connection type. So SATA 6 gigabyte per second kind of slows down that bottlenecking. It kind of allows the SSD to be more free roam. And then the next one is this Gigabyte ATX. This one again is a DDR3. Same thing, SATA 6 gigabyte per second motherboard. And something I found out with when I was researching a lot of these motherboards is check out all sources, as I stated in the how to choose the right motherboard. Because sometimes it's DOA, which is when the device is shipped dead, dead on arrival, that's what it is. And it comes because of that company that's shipping it, and not because of the motherboard. So it can be that. So check out the different sources. Do your research on the motherboard. Even though I'm giving you guys these motherboards, do your own research on whatever motherboard you choose from my list. Because maybe I overlooked something, or didn't check something out, and that could make the motherboard completely wrong for you. So please do check this out before just choosing one from the video and saying this is the one I'm going to get. Research on it. So the next ones are the Intel i7 for the socket size LGA-1151. The first one is the Gigabyte G1 Gaming 7. And again, it's a USB 3.1, has USB 3.0. It is a SATA 6 gigabytes per second, but I've heard that sometimes it has BIOS problems. So if you're a person that's really into computers and understands what a BIOS is, this might not be the motherboard for you. So don't go with it. Don't even get close to it. And I wouldn't personally recommend it myself, because really I like the Asus motherboards more. The only problem with Asus is if you do get a bad motherboard, a lot of people complain about their customer service. So you might be you might have to wait a while to get processed or whatever, but it's not that common to get a bad motherboard from Asus, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. And then Gigabyte is around the same level as Asus. It just depends where your loyalty stands, pretty much, and who have you used the most of, and pretty much stuff like that, because them two are the top two motherboards in the motherboard industry. So you have to be just be checking out their motherboards, because Asus also has this other line called ASRock, but they're the cheaper versions of Asus. So you guys have to check stuff out like that if you're willing to run risk or stuff like that. So the next one is the Asus Z170. The Z170 is like the motherboard created for the LGA-1151 socket size. It's the same thing as Z97 for the socket size LGA-1150. This one has HDMI, SATA 6 gigabytes per second, USB 3.1, and USB 3.0. And that's and that was 5, if I'm not mistaken, for the Intels. Now let's move to AMD. The AMD I chose for this video was the A10 because it's mostly the more popular one, so that's why I chose it. So Asus ATX is the first one. It's called CrossBlade Ranger, if I'm not mistaken. The socket size for the A10, as I stated, was the FM2. And then your next one is the ASRock Micro ATX. As I stated, ASRock is a motherboard created by Asus, but it's not as expensive as an Asus motherboard. But ASRock motherboards can be pretty good. And this motherboard has DDR3. Oh yeah, something I forgot to tell you guys about the motherboards that are for the LGA-1151 is most of them have DDR4. DDR4 is the step off from DDR3. They're a tiny bit faster, but for me, I wouldn't buy any because, as I stated, budget, and they're really expensive RAM to be spending so much money for not as much as an increase on the speed. But if you have the money to do it, go ahead and buy the DDR4 and go with the Skylake build. The next one is the MSI A88X G45 Gaming, and the socket size is the FM2 Plus. The FM2 Plus, as I've been reading, does work with the FM2 socket size, so there shouldn't be any worry there. It's DDR3, SATA 3, sadly, and USB 3.0. So like I stated, the SATA 3 gigabyte per second bottlenecks your SSD. So if I were you, I would go with a motherboard that actually has a SATA 6 gigabyte per second than a SATA 3 gigabyte per second. And our final one for today is the ASRock ATX DDR3 FM2, and the part of the name is the Extreme 6 Plus. This one has BIOS problems just like the Gigabyte Gaming 7. So I wouldn't recommend it. Anything with BIOS problems, I wouldn't recommend. But it's, other than that, it's a pretty good motherboard. That's why I put it on the list. Because pretty much all these motherboards have at least one flaw. No motherboard is going to be perfect to any extent. Because manufacturers overlook tiny details that can screw them up. So that's what leads to at least a motherboard having one flaw. Like, to the placing of a PCI port, it might then cover up another slot for connection or something like that, or the placement of the CPU on the actual motherboard. Then when you put a cooling device or a heating device, then it leads to problems. So, and then that motherboard might be the most amazing motherboard in the world, but because of those little issues right there, it might not work for you. So for some updates for you guys, I'm gonna be making a setup video. This would be like a before setup video, so you guys can see how my setup is now and then how I want to set it up. And then hopefully once I get that the correct setup done, which might take till when I build my computer, that would be the after setup. So before and after setup. And And then also, I'm hoping for Thursday, which is New Year's Eve, and this guy's birthday. Yes, I was born on New Year's Eve. I know how weird that is. Last baby of the year. I was actually pretty close. I was actually supposed to be a Y2K baby. If nobody knows what Y2K is, it was this whole thing that since computers dates ended at 1999, the world was gonna end in 1999, and that was all because of programming issues. The programmers thought that, oh, we only got to change the last two numbers because the first two aren't gonna change. And then IBM came out with this update. First off, everyone was in panic. If Wall Street was open at that time, I think it actually went big time down because of this. But I was almost one, but I'm glad I was one of the last babies in 1999 because I'm allowed to call myself a 90s baby, even though I was the last day. But you know, technicality. I pull that technicality card whenever it works for me, but when it doesn't, I don't pull it, and I find another card that can go over that technicality card so that it doesn't work. And let's see. And I want to make another video for this series, but that will be next week. And it might, let's see, I already did top 10 CPUs, top 10 motherboards. It might be a comparison of hard drives and SSDs. I'll be, most likely, the two types of hard drives I'll be comparing to SSDs, will be the Seagate and the Western Digital. I don't recommend Seagate, but Seagate is what's in pretty much everything because they're not that expensive, but there's a reason for that. They might be good hard drives, but the lifespan of those hard drives can be pretty low. My dad had one or two, and within a couple of months, if not a year, they went out. So now we stick with Western Digital. Western Digital is amazing. They had amazing hard drives. And then they have hard drives built for what you need. So if you need just a regular hard drive for regular usage, it's not going to cost you that much. You can get it for pretty cheap. And then if you need one for like me, like video processing, and gaming and stuff, like not even gaming, because you can probably easily run your games off the regular day one. It will cost you a little bit more, but not that much more. And then they have for surveillance videos. So let's say you have a surveillance system, you can use those to record your stuff. And then SSD, I'll most likely be using the Samsung Evo 850 and the 950 Pro, if I'm not mistaken. That might be the new one that just came out from Samsung too. The 950 is an upgrade from the 850. It's actually much faster than the 850. So there is a climbing ladder to the hard drives and SSDs, but that's what I will try to be using for comparison. And that's pretty much it. So sorry for rambling in this video. I just finished waking up, so I'm kind of getting out of that phase. So sorry for rambling and some of the mistakes I made. Sorry guys. But leave a comment down below. Like the video. If you don't like it, please explain why, because I want to make the videos as good as possible for you guys. And then subscribe. Oh yeah, another update. One once you guys subscribe, you guys will be called, not once you subscribe, but once you become a fan, you guys will be known as Agents of Ace. Agents without the E, because if you look at the channel name, shortened, whatever it's called, it's AGNT. So it's just missing the E and the S, which I'll add the S, but the E, no. And then, so it's kind of shortened named of the channel name. So you guys will be called Agents of Ace. I'll probably just make a video of that later on, explaining the whole process of my thinking and everything while I'm actually more awake. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.